Tom Brady. Let's get into this last wild card game. Where am I going to start? Tom Brady. I wanted to say this with everyone in the group, but it's just you and me. I respect you. I never did. I don't care what decision you make. I may ridicule you if you make a Brett Favre move, say you're going to retire again, and then this guy's going to be right all over again because you're going to say, I'll retire. And then 2 months later, it's going to be, I'm coming back to the NFL and I'm going to Vegas to pull a LeBron, be my third team. And
oh, man.
All props to Dak Prescott. You balled out 5 touchdowns, man. Here's the thing, and I've been saying this all day. First of all, screw you, Tampa Bay. You gave up my undefeated record in the picks. Screw you. And I don't blame Tom Brady. Tom Brady is not the issue. The problem with Tom Brady, look at his stat line. He threw 66 pass attempts. 66. Oh my Lord.
Well, that's the reason that I almost picked Dallas to win, but I didn't because it's Dallas. And like I said, until they win, it's kind of hard to pick them, but they did finally win. But the reason why I almost picked Dallas anyway is because of the fact Tampa Bay cannot run the football. They were last in the NFL this season in running. You know, they can't run. I mean, Leonard Fournette, he's a solid running back, but their offensive line cannot run block for him. And even the backup that's quicker, Rachaad White, he just can't get lanes. There's no running lane. So it's all on Tom Brady. Like you said, 66 passes is ridiculous. You should never have to throw that many passes in a football game unless your offense is designed that way. Like if you're just going to throw. But the Bucs offense is not designed that way. It's not supposed to be. It's not, especially with Tom Brady at 45 years old, throwing 66 passes. He can do it. But to me, the bigger issue with Tampa Bay is their play calling all year has been awful. Because I don't understand why it is that you have and I understand the offensive line has some issues, and it's even in pass blocking, which is Brady doesn't have the most time in the world. But you have the guy that can throw the ball 65 yards down the field.
Yeah.
And all you're throwing is 1-yard passes that you could literally get any third-string quarterback to throw. I mean, you've got Tom Brady. There is no reason that Tom Brady's throwing all those screen passes to Godwin, and then there's a defender right there. I mean, if they were actually blocking for Godwin, he could run 50 yards, then yeah, okay, it's working. But they were just throwing the same passes over and over, 1-yard, 2-yard passes, and then Dallas was right there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have Tom Brady, you've got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. Throw the ball down the field.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't do it.
Yeah, it seemed to me like, you know, even who was on the call? Even I think it was Troy Aikman and Joe Buck, wasn't it, on the call?
Mm-hmm.
Even Troy Aikman.
They're on ESPN now, yeah.
Yeah, even Troy Aikman was saying, Tampa, just throw the ball deep because Dallas is running an umbrella coverage.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically what Ohio State, I hate coming back to this, it's what Ohio State should have ran, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
But again, you know, that's done over with. We're talking about this game. My biggest tick with you is this guy. Where's this been, bro? Where's this been? You've had better teams than this. Where has this been?
Well, Dak Prescott, I mean, he's been a guy that's made a lot of mistakes, and that's where people give him a lot of criticism. He's thrown 15 interceptions this year in 12 games, not counting this past game where he threw 0. He threw 15 interceptions in 12 games. That's bad. He's thrown 23 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. I mean, it's nowhere near as bad as Jameis Winston's 33 touchdown, 30 interception year, but still, that's pretty bad for Dak Prescott, who is supposed to be a top 10 quarterback in the league.
Yep.
On a top 10 team in the league. But he had a rough year. I think part of it, he wasn't playing as well after he missed time though with the finger issue. He had finger surgery.
Mhm.
I mean, if that don't happen, maybe he doesn't have his sport of the year. He seemed to be kind of out of rhythm for a while. But to your point, where's this been? I don't know. I just think Tampa Bay's defense has been interesting this year because at times they've looked really solid. And they're partially the reason Tampa Bay's even in the playoffs because they had a few games this year where they helped them win. But their defense played bad as well.
I mean, the thing
In
is,
this game, it was not their best performance because Dak got whatever he wanted outside of a couple plays where it could have, been picked, but the receivers made plays and he just put the ball in the right spot enough. But outside of that, really Tampa Bay's defense wasn't that great. But Dallas, I mean, Dak Prescott, all kudos to him because he played great. It was one of the best games of his NFL career.
for sure.
And on the Brett Maher situation, I mean, I know everybody's talking about how bad of a kicker he is. He's a great kicker, but it happens. Kickers happen. I mean, Adam Vinatieri missed 10 kicks in a row one time, 10 field goals and extra point. I mean, he couldn't hit anything for like 2 games. And people are like, oh, he needs to be out of the league. And then he proceeded to hit like 30 in a row after that. So I think he's fine. I mean, yeah, once he missed the first 2, Dallas should have been like, okay, he's going to keep missing. But they kept using him. But he's fine. But yeah, Dallas played great on both sides of the ball. But if Tampa Bay had thrown the ball deep, they still could have lost this game. But Tampa Bay didn't do it.
Oh, yeah. Tampa Bay didn't do it till it was too late. I mean, Julio Jones was wide open in the end zone. It was a perfect pass right on the mark, right in the hands to Julio from Tom. It's like, okay, to your point.
Done it all game.
Yeah. And to your point, that's exactly why there's no way in heck that Tom Brady is retiring. Mm-hmm. Why? Is he can still throw a perfect pass, a perfect arched pass for a touchdown. And that was from like, what, 30 or 40 some yards when it happened? I mean, he still has it, man. As much as it irritates and angers, I'm going to use that instead of the phrase I usually would use, and you know which one I'm talking about. Even though it frustrates and angers people, to hear people like us say that, that's what it is, man. And he still has, it's crazy. Like, seriously. If he can go somewhere, because Tampa's not it. If he can go somewhere he can stay upright and in the pocket all the time, where he's not really going to get touched, this guy could actually, it's crazy to say, he could actually play till he's 50. Or pretty darn close. I mean, he's already pretty close anyway. But, I mean, again, what is with this Tampa Bay defense? Because when I look up the overall positioning for the defense, it's like right around the 7 range in the league. So is the defense overrated? Were it too many injuries that prevented the defense from being as good? Like, what do you think it was?
Well, they did have some injuries in the middle of the season, and they dropped a lot of games, around December, early December, late November. They had a rough stretch of games, and that was because of the fact that they had some injuries on the defensive side of the ball. But I think their defense was just a bit inconsistent anyway. I mean, even when they were healthy, they had a couple of bad performances, but they had some really good performances. But, I mean, even if their defense played really well in this game, the way Tampa ran their offense, they wouldn't have won. They only put up 14. I mean, like you said, I watched the game as well, and I mean, you see the end, and Brady's throwing the ball down the field, and it's like, again, if you do this all game, Tampa could have put up 35. And they're winning over Dallas's 31. Even though Dallas would have more if he had the extra points. But you know what I'm saying. Since they did, Tampa would have 35, Dallas would have 31, and they win. But because Brady could have thrown for 4 or 5 touchdowns. If he can throw the deep ball, and Dallas would not have been able to stop it. To Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. I mean, the reason they're in the playoffs is because Mike Evans caught over 200 yards against the Panthers and 3 touchdowns. And the Panthers, they had J.C. Horn. He was out in that game. Maybe it would have been a little bit different. But, again, to your point with Ohio State, doesn't matter. But they would have won this game if Tom Brady was allowed to throw the ball down the field. And I don't know why Tampa Bay won't let him do it. I know the offensive line's not that great, but he has enough time to still throw the ball at like 3 seconds. Mike Evans can get 30, 40 yards down the field. He throws it, and it's complete. And they just didn't do it. And I know that it's crazy to say that one simple thing would have changed the result of this game, but you really feel it would have. I mean, looking at it, you just really feel that it would have. But it is what it is. Again, great win for Dallas. Get the thing off your back of you can't win in the playoffs, and Dak is not very good, but he got that off his back. He played great. So great win for Dallas. But this was a really big missed opportunity for Tampa because they could have won this game
easily. I mean, if you alone look at the little moments throughout the game, like I think it was early in the game too. I think Tampa was only down 6-0 at this point. Tampa's driving. They get into the dang it, Joe Buck. Why do you that's the one thing that irritates me more than anything. Even these like defensive players, when they get flagged, they go over the refs and they're like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? It's like, shut up, man. If it's blatantly obvious, and 9 times out of 10 it is, shut up, dude. You have no reason to argue the flag. Announcers, especially now you, Joe Buck, irritate the living crap out of me. Oh, Tom Brady's had X number of red zone drives since he joined the Bucs, including the playoffs in 2020, and he's never thrown a pick.
Throws a pick.
Brady drops back. Brady's in shotgun. He gets the snap. He drops back. He's got Mike Evans in the end zone. Is he going to throw a touchdown? Oh, my gosh, he threw a pick. Oh. And the funny thing is, right
the way you said it was funny.
Right when the funny thing was, right when he brought up the graphic and they said it, he was like, I hope I didn't give him the kiss of death, because that's usually the announcer, because he knew what he was doing. So why would you even do it, Joe? Come on.
Oh, I mean, to be fair, I mean, something was really off with that drive anyway. Because, I mean, you actually look at Tom Brady. He almost threw 4 picks on that drive. I mean, he threw the one in the corner of the end zone that had quadruple coverage. That could have been picked. He had that one over the middle of the field. It could have been picked. I mean, there was a couple others that were close. So, I mean, he almost threw a pick, 4 times on that drive. It's just the fact that the one in the red zone ended up being the one that he finally got picked. Because he did not hardly have any good throws on that drive. A lot of those throws were bad. It just they didn't pick them off. And if they had picked them off when they were on their side of the field or before they got in the red zone, then that wouldn't have mattered on the graphic. It's just because it was in the red zone when they got the pick. But he really should have thrown a pick already.
For sure, most definitely. But again, I'm going to be very critical of your guys still, and I'm very critical, QBs. Because you still haven't proved it. Because, again, to my earlier statement, where has this been? You've had better teams. Your rookie season, you should have beat the Packers in the divisional round, honestly, for one. For two, it's not that impressive when this guy is 45 and the receivers can't catch a ball worth a dang, and he's starting to get jelly arm. Why is he starting to get jelly arm? He's throwing it so much. 66. Audience, ladies and gentlemen, or mostly gentlemen that are watching this, 66 pass attempts is too many for a quarterback. I don't care if you're high school, college, or pros, or whatever level of the pros. If you want to talk about USFL is pro football, XFL is pro football, NFL is pro football. I don't care what level of a quarterback you are in. 66 pass attempts. And I'm talking to you, Bruce Arians, because that's part of your system. You're a throw-first system. Heavy on the throw, light on the run. And that's part of why Jameis had the year that he had with the 30 and 33. It's your system. So all Todd Bowles did was, I'm inserted as the new head coach. But I don't want to come up with my own system, my own stuff. You know what? Bruce's system seemed like it worked pretty well. Let's just, boop. No, dude, it doesn't work for a guy
your
like
point
Tom
about
Brady,
the
it's fucking work.
66 throws, though, at least most of them were short. So, up until the end.
And to my point, I'm not saying Brady has jello arms now. Obviously, he doesn't. We did see some deep bombs towards the end of the game when it was basically over. So he obviously doesn't have jello arms, but if you're doing that much throwing on a consistent basis, that is what will lead to jello arms quicker than having a Bill Belichick Brady system. Because
I totally agree.
Because at 40, I think it was 43 when he came to the Bucks. At 43, he still had a pretty strong arm. So it's the system, Bulls. If you want to keep Brady, that's the key. If you want to keep Brady and he doesn't want to retire, you're going to have to change your system to fit Brady better because the BA system doesn't work for Tom.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't. I'm sorry, but it doesn't. I mean,
running the ball, when he was at the Patriots, they ran the ball more. I mean, plus when you're in the playoffs, especially and even in the regular season toward the end, it's so cold up there. Usually teams in the North run the ball more anyway. I mean, I'm not saying that that's why they don't run the ball as much because, like you said, it's Bruce Arians' system. But being up north on a northern team with cold weather, you automatically usually run the ball more anyway.
I absolutely agree, 100%.